Folks, I don't know about you, but sometimes I really find it hard to control my thinking. Sometimes I say to myself, where does that thought come from? Mm-hmm. How could that even come to my brain?
Yeah, totally.
Have you ever done that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't believe it. It's not like I went out there to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And what a stupid or what an evil or what a wrong thought that is about that person or about this in life or about God or about anything, about that driver, you know. But thinking can surprise you. I don't know about you, but I've been shocked at the things that can come across my brain.
Yep.
And we need a guard. Mm-hmm. We need guard. And actually, there's this portion of Scripture we're working still in Philippians 4 and 4 through 9 talks about the thing that guards. And it's the peace of God in our hearts. It guards our hearts and minds.
Yeah.
The peace of God. And that's achieved through giving no quarter to anxiety, not having a comfortable relationship with anxiety. And first, also, choosing to have the context of rejoicing in all things because of my positioning, no matter what is happening here, has not changed my eternal positions of citizenship and with God.
Yeah.
And then you get to the other part of, wow, I got this guard now.
That's right. And I think I think it's important to constantly be assessing your own thinking. Like, if you experience things like that, like, whoa, where did that thought come from? Or that's not like me. Like, what's going on, right? But if it becomes sort of a regular thing or a pattern, I think you can use that as a measuring stick. Like, okay, wait a minute, let's pause this. Let's assess where's the anxiety level in my life right now, and where's the joy level in my life. What am I focusing more on? What am I giving more space in my heart, basically? And that's going to really impact my thinking. And then sort of reset and get this joy thing figured out. Remember who you are and where you belong and where you're headed, and then anxiety, kick that to the curb, and I think your thinking will clean up profusely.
Quite a bit. There's a Bible verse. I don't even know where. Maybe you'll know where this came from. It's a really random.
The Bible.
One. Yes. But I think it goes something like, I'm paraphrasing it, gather up those foxes, these pesky foxes, right before they run out into
little foxes spoil the vine.
Yeah, and spoil the vineyard. Yeah, and that's just kind of it. Like, you let one thing wander around a bit.
Ecclesiastes, I believe, but yes.
Ecclesiastes? Okay. I always like that verse because it just paints such a good picture, right? Like, you could let one little guy, he looks cute, run around in the vineyard and eat a couple strawberries, but then all of a sudden there's 10 of them when he brings his friends back, and you got a real problem pretty quick, hey?
Sounds like my squirrel problem at home.
Yeah, I seen one of them, yeah.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, we can gather them up.
With a pellet gun.
Yeah. Like, here's how I know it works for me. For instance, okay, let's say I'm disturbed inside.
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm not rejoicing, I'm not in touch with those things that don't change. I'm not celebrating my faith, my God, my eternity, my things that God has given me.
Yeah.
And I'm disturbed. Or anxiety, I'm living with a level of it and accepting it.
Yeah.
And that's disturbed me inside. So then I come to work. And then you guys do something wrong. All right?
Never.
And then instead of just dealing with the wrong, I think, I could kill him.
Yeah.
I could kill him. Yeah. All of a sudden you're in this level of thinking, what? How can you actually think that?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
Yes. I've seen your guys' blood on the floor a few times. So it's like, I'm exaggerating. I'm having fun. But I want to illustrate something very important that says if you're disturbed inside like that, the peace isn't there. Mm-hmm. Like, so it's been broken through the rejoicing, like you're bringing up the joy and bringing out the faith, the trust, the levels because of the anxiety thing. If you're disturbed and that exists, I guarantee you that your thinking is going to go south and it's going to be negative. You're going to have the more extreme thoughts coming through. Your heart's not guarded. Your thoughts aren't guarded.
Yep. And it's going to affect your actions. It's going to come out, right?
Yep. And then how do you back up from that stuff? Well, often you just have to stop yourself.
Yeah.
Just say, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? You may be doing that in your relationship with each other in a marriage where you're disturbed and you're acting in a way towards your partner that and you're having thoughts about, and then fill in the blank, right?
That's right.
And all you can see is how bad you think they are, or how much they've let you down, or how much, that just tells you you've lost grip on these other two poles we talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
North Pole
And
the
you've
South
lost
Pole,
your peace. You got to recover it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Paul goes through, like, what I love about this is we talked about the North Pole, which is rejoicing in all things all the time, and then the South Pole is anxiety, be anxious about nothing, is what he says. And then he tells us how to do that.
Yes.
He doesn't just say, go do this. He tells us how to do that.
Through prayer.
And
he's talked earlier about the positioning, being a citizen and all this.
And releasing all these circumstances that are out of our control anyways. That's what amazes me about us human beings is we get all anxious about things that we don't even have control of anyways, right? We can't control the
Most
outcome.
things.
Yeah, many things, yes.
Yeah.
And so letting go of those and just trusting God. Yes, okay, if you're feeling like pressure, then pray about it.
Yeah.
But then don't just leave it just at that thing. Be in prayer about all things,
Yes.
always. And
No, sorry.
Go ahead,
I think too, like at the beginning, you were saying like about the measuring stick and that. But have you ever had like people? I know lots of people like with jobs and stuff. Even like they're like, yeah, this job I'm doing right now, I can really just flip my mind into autopilot, and I just kind of do the thing, and before I know it, my 8 hours are up, and I go home. And I kind of think like in this too, like you got to be cautious about when you just flip your mind into autopilot all the time. I think that can be just as dangerous as even the negative and bad like thinking, because just the stuff we miss or the things that we just let go right by us. And I think a lot of stuff in life, like you said, you always got to be checking like where your thought is at, right? Where sometimes we just shut our brain off and just go through the motions, and you're just you're missing like the things that you're doing wrong and the things that maybe you're just totally missing altogether. And two, like you're just totally missing out on what God's trying to show you sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just floating.
Yeah. And that's where, like, the peace of God is what we're talking about first here. That guards your hearts and minds, right? So that you are able now to go to a different way of thinking and think things you couldn't think before. So come back to my example about you guys, okay? So I'm disturbed for whatever, and I come in, and then you guys are just, normal kind of, you're not doing anything, but also I'm thinking the worst things about you because you didn't finish this, or you didn't do that, or you did, and then all of a sudden my mind goes down that path. But if I have the peace of God, I don't have that happening. But now I can move to the next level, not just having the peace of God, but the God of peace, because I can now think about you differently. I can think about what is true and what is noble. I can think about those things about you. I can now go even to a different level of not just stopping those horrible things.
that's right.
Right? And think about this in your marriage. You can not just stop the horrible thoughts. You can start to think about the good things.
Lovely things.
I'll give you the list. He says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy, think about such things. Imagine if that's the things you were thinking about your wife or your husband or your coworker or, your brothers or sisters, or just think about that. Now you're in a whole different kind of commodity.
Yeah, you're going to be treating people way different than you would have if you're stuck in that zone of being disturbed or anxiety.
And you're actually reaching beyond to take them further.
That's right.
You are resourcing for growth.
Yeah, you're going to do things for that person that you wouldn't do.
Yeah, you're not maximizing or taking it to a ridiculous zone, tearing up where they drop the ball, as all human beings do.
Yeah.
You are instead going to the opposite zone, saying, oh man, look what you can continue to be, and I believe in you for this.
Yeah.
And this is like the whole different, and that's moving from what the peace of God helps us deal with the negative stuff.
Yeah.
But having the God of peace takes us to the release of the positive. And that's the two phrases that we've got here, that you've got the peace of God, and then you got this one with the God of peace. Listen to this. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. Now we've left the peace of God, that's an internal heart and mind thing, to the God of peace, which is total life rulership.
Yeah.
Now you're able to take all of your best stuff and bless.
I've got this picture, and I talked about it in my message last weekend. and it was a picture of a hurricane, right? And in the very center of the hurricane, it's really neat because this hurricane all around it is just causing devastation and destruction everywhere. But then in the middle, it's like this peaceful little ray of sunshine area.
Ray of sunshine.
So my thought on this is experiencing the peace of God is like you're going through a big storm like this, and he brings the eye of the storm to you just to give you that peace. And then having the God of peace with you is like no matter where you move around,
You're stuck in the middle.
you are the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
You're walking around, and whatever you're touching is getting that peace come out from you.
That's a
bring
pretty
them
cool
into the
picture.
middle. Yeah.
Yeah, because God is with you there. So it's beautiful.
It is actually, because that's how it is. The God of peace, when he's with you, wherever you're going, you're bringing it. And you're going to change the environment where you're at.
Exactly.
Right? You're going to be, because of God's sovereignty and his control and his power, you are walking into whatever circumstance with him.
That's right.
And so it's like him in the boat here. You know, there was storm, but he's about to just say enough and stop that storm. So there's two places the disciples in that boat needed peace. One was the peace in their hearts, and they needed the peace for the storm, which was sinking their boat. And that came from the God of peace. So this is where in our lives we need to get where we become blessers.
That's right.
Of others. We're bringing in the eye. We're bringing in these great things into our homes rather than disturbing it ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we get the peace of God, which is nice, and it guards your hearts and minds, and you're not going to be thinking those really bad thoughts about that person anymore in your home. But now what about the next level?
Yeah, it's not the full...
Where you're bringing it in a whole different blessing way, a peace, because he is your God of peace now in all these areas of your life. His authority is there in your home in every circumstance.
And I want to bring it back to where he said, be gentle in every circumstance. I think the ability to be gentle in every circumstance comes from who's with you.
Yeah.
Well, God's power, God's strength.
Yeah.
So let's
God,
wrap it up today with this. Folks, we all got storms. You just don't want a storm in your heart.
Yeah.
Because God can give you peace. And you're going to have a storm in your heart. There's two ways to deal with it. Two poles, north and south. Rejoice in everything because of your position in Jesus Christ, your citizenship, your eternity, all of that. You rejoice. Don't be anxious in anything. That's the other pole. Why? Because that's going to take you against Christ in his presence in your life. You want to instead take it to prayer and have these ongoing things with God over everything in life so that you know he's constantly feeding your life with peace in the midst of the storm. Now out of that could come the kind of thinking that only comes to people who have peace of God in their hearts. Now they can be bringers of the God of peace.
Yes.
Bring the God of peace. That's your goal. Into your life, into your home, into your place of work. That is amazing now when you're bringing that with you. It's not just in you. It's coming with you. God bless you. Enjoy the next segment.
Grander earth has quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice, and seas that are shaking and stirred can be calmed and broken from my regard. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. be for me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be tossed into the midst of the sea. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And it is well, it is well. So let go my soul and trust in Him. The waves and winds still know His name. So let go my soul and trust in Him. The waves and winds still know His name. So let go my soul and trust in Him. The waves and winds still know His name. The waves and winds still know His name. And it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. It is well with my
Well, tonight we discussed sort of the difference between having the peace of God in you and having the God of peace with you, and how having the peace of God in you is great. Don't get me wrong. It's sort of walking around, and no matter what's going on in your life, you're sort of at peace. But having the God of peace with you, that's when whatever circumstances you walk into or whatever you put your hands on, that's when God is able to start changing the world around you through you. And one way to sort of measure where things are at, and we discussed this tonight, is your thoughts, your thought life. How are you thinking about other people? How are you thinking about yourself? Are you finding that you're constantly having negative thoughts about others or yourself, or critical thoughts, or that they're just not good enough, or you'll never measure up? Or are you at peace? Are your thoughts loving? Are your thoughts beneficial for these other people? When we discuss the whole list that Paul goes through. Tonight I want to offer you an opportunity to take an honest assessment of where your thoughts really truly are at. And I think if you look at those people closest in your lives, you'll be able to really use this as a measurement in how you think about those specific people. And I want to read and pray from Psalm 139, verse 24. But it's going to take you to be honest if you want God to really truly change you in this and work through you. So let's pray these words together. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. If you prayed that honestly, then be prepared, be ready. God's going to show you those things that he wants you to sort of change and clean up, and maybe those areas where you're not fully in the joy zone with God. You're not fully embracing that citizenship of heaven. Well, God bless you. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.